So I served only one transfer in Santos, but I got to know the city pretty well, it being the main hub of the mission. That's where the mission office was. That's where the church building was that we went and did all the mission conferences there. And I remember I always served close by. All the other cities are way close by, so we got to go visit pretty regularly. I remember once my companion had to do physical therapy for a few weeks, and we'd have to go to Santos every day. And so we got to know the city pretty well that way, walking the streets. And it's really cool. Santos, like all the cities, there's always the more modernized part of it, and then the further out from there, more downtown or off to the sides you get into the poor areas. So there are a few big main avenues, especially the one that the mission office is on. It's Avenida Anacosta, and there's a big historic hospital there, and that's where the street gets its name. It's the Anacosta Hospital. It's just really pretty. It's just so picturesque. When I think back of the city of Santos, that's what I picture, is Avenida Anacosta. Just walking down to the mission office, down in the middle, or a bit past it, there's Praça da Independencia, Independence Plaza, which is kind of a monument historically to Brazil gaining its independence. There's also, that's where the Santos Football Club is stationed. It's one of the soccer teams in Brazil. Historically, that's where the player Pelé, who was, the juggernaut of Brazilian soccer, who's probably the Brazilian soccer player who has most fame worldwide, is Pelé. And so he was on the Brazilian soccer team, Santos. He won them their first international title. And the second, I believe, was Neymar Jr. I don't know if that's wrong. Maybe Pelé won them both, but I think I'm going to sound like a real soccer wannabe right now saying this, but I'm pretty sure it was Neymar who helped them win their second worldwide title. Anyone who's watching this and I said it wrong, they're upset right now because they're huge Santos soccer fans, but Neymar played for Santos and then after left, and I think he's playing on Barcelona right now. So they're really proud of their champions that Santos raised and put out and put them on the map as far as football goes, or soccer, depending on where you are. So Santos actually is the largest port city in all of South America. So everything goes in and goes out of Santos. So that's really the main employer. Most of the people who live in those outside cities, out in Guarujá and Praia Grande and São Vicente, they work in Santos. They work in the ports, and they work in the other industries that are around there because of all the business that comes in because of that major port city that it is. So it's way cool. You always see big shipping boats coming in, coming from different countries. There are lots that come from Germany, and from there it just kind of goes out. It's like a big mail center, I guess, where everything goes from there out to other places. So definitely that's a big thing, is people working at the port. Most of the crime, I would say, is focused in the northwest zone of Santos. It has a nickname for being the Far West Zone, because after all the American cowboy movies where there's all the crime and the sheriffs and the bandits all having the shootouts, it's definitely one of the more favela-ish areas of the outside of Santos. So there's a decent amount of crime there. One thing about crime in Brazil, at least in the Santos mission, is they tend to leave missionaries alone. Every now and then a missionary will get robbed and they'll take away his watch. That happened to me once. We were coming home. It was 9 o'clock, and just right in front of our house, two guys rode behind us on bikes, and they pulled out guns that I think were probably fake. He was kind of nervous and shaking a bit. It sounded like plastic to me, but I didn't want to find out. So I looked over at my companion. He already had his watch and everything in the guy's hands. So I took off my nice G-Shock and gave it to him, and that was a bummer because it was a nice present that I had gotten from my mom before I left. But there's nothing really serious that missionary will be involved in other than that, the occasional highway robbery. But generally, the bigger crime bodies leave missionaries alone. They know that by now that we don't carry money with us. Mostly we just have Bibles, Book of Mormons, religious pamphlets. Sometimes the rookie criminal will see that we're dressed in a shirt and tie and assume that because of that we have money. But missionaries never get hurt because of these. We've never had a problem with that. I remember one elder Maya, I think he has the record for most robberies. I think he was mugged about 5 times. Maybe now someone else. I think Elder Madsen, who's still on the mission right now. He's finishing up this transfer. Maybe by now he's passed up Elder Maya's record. He's just this big, tall, skinny, blonde American guy. And I guess they just robbed him a lot. Elder Lucas got robbed a lot. I'm calling all these missionaries out now, but these were the ones who were kind of just magnets for the muggers. But as much as they were mugged, they never got hurt. So that's something that you don't really have to worry about. I was never, even after I was robbed, I was never scared of getting hurt because of a robbery. Something that one of my companions taught me that totally just worked. If you're walking in a poor area, something you should do as a missionary, right? You just say hi to everybody. Hi, good morning, good afternoon, how's it going? How's your day been? Like, hey, just call it to people, call everyone irmão, call everyone brother. So, oi irmão, bom dia, tudo bem? Like, you just put your hand in your bag, you raise your hand, you wave, and they'll know, oh, those are the religious missionaries. They're just here preaching the word, so they'll leave missionaries alone. And so nothing super dangerous as far as crime goes. As far as weather goes, it's hot. It's definitely humid. It's hot and humid. I remember the first week that I was in my area in Belas Artes, we went in to go teach a lesson to somebody. We walked in their house, all the doors and windows are open and everything, so to try to get as much of a cross breeze going. I'm just sitting there in my shirt and tie and I'm just sweating. I've never sweat so much in my entire life than when I was in Brazil. And you know, I ran cross country track and I never got super sweaty, but I was just sitting there and I was just drenched in my own sweat. And it was just so hot and humid. I was like, man, I'm going to be swimming for 2 years for the rest of the time that I'm going to be here in Brazil. It was just so hot in the summer. Definitely the hottest weeks are the first few weeks of January. So the end of December, beginning of January, that's the hottest time in Santos. Like I said, the city is surrounded by those mountains and it's just right against the ocean. So the sun will rise in the east and it'll just kind of heat up that whole area and it'll trap the heat in. And there's so many people, it's a busy city, so it all just kind of stays. The heat doesn't go anywhere. So lots of interesting smells. Everyone's kind of hot. It's hot. I don't know what to say other than that. It rains a good amount. I'd say the most rain I saw was definitely early December. I remember when I was in Rio Branco, it was the week of Christmas. We went out to go deliver these Christmas packages that we had put together for a bunch of less actives and part member families. And that was the only thing we had to plan to do that day. We had to leave for the mission conference the next day. Some other missionaries were coming in from further out to stay the night with us and go up with us the next day. So we were going to get a little Christmas dinner prepared for them that night. But we had all this package with these homemade cookies and these pictures and Christmas message that we were going to go deliver anonymously to these member families. And it was just soaking wet outside. First, we woke up. Oh no, I think this was later on, but yeah, a few weeks later what ended up happening was our house just got flooded with water. I'll get to that in a bit. But so we go out to deliver these Christmas packages and we open the door and out in our little front yard area, there's a little wall that closes it off to the street and there's about a foot of water in there. So we just walk out in the water, we open the gate, the street, it's about 1.5 feet high at that point. So what do? We just have to grin and bear it, grit through it, walk out in the water. So we're just wading through it, it's up to our shins. We get further into our area and these are dirt roads and it's kind of lower down. And so the further in we go, the higher the water gets. We have some great pictures of us past our knees, just mid-thigh, wading through this water. And it's just pouring rain. So none of you is dry. Even the part, you would say probably the driest part of you is in your shoes, somewhere in between the toe box of your shoe and your sock. Everything else between being under the water, just getting pounded with the rain, you're just drenched all the way through. We went through the rest of the day just delivering these presents in the rain. Then we got to our house near the end of the day. We put a chicken in the oven. We started making rice and getting a nice little meal ready for the missionaries for after they got off the long 4-hour bus ride into our city to have a nice little Christmas Eve with us before the Christmas conference the next day with all the rest of the missionaries. Just following up on the rest of that rain story is a few days later, it was in the middle of the night, my companion wakes up and he goes to use the bathroom, he puts his foot down, and our house, the front part was lower end and we were in the very back room. He puts his foot down And we had all the doors shut and everything, but the water just somehow got in the house, like coming in through the cracks in the doors. So there were about 3 inches of water in our room. He puts his foot down and shoots him awake. And he comes over and hits me. He's like, Elder, everything is soaked. And we had our books and everything under our beds and a bunch of stuff on the floor laying out. So we were running around the house like madmen, picking stuff up on the floor, putting it up on high ground. Then after that, we look outside, and outside the house, it's 3 feet of water. It was just soaked. And there's nothing much we could do other than go to bed and hope that, it stopped soon. We had picked everything else up off the ground. We had unplugged everything. We had literally done everything we could do to prevent further water damage. So we just got back in bed, went to sleep. And then when we woke up, we saw if our mattress was about this high, the water mark had reached just below it. So we were just another 30 minutes from being woken up on floating mattresses. And it was crazy. And shortly after that, we sold that house. We started cleaning it hardcore. This was like the last few days that I had in that area before I left the first time. Transfer calls were coming in soon. We tried so hard to get that apartment clean and get it ready for transfers and everything. But I left, and by the time I came back, we were just close. I had another week or two in that house before we moved into the new house.